Hey guys, it's Seanbot back with a new video. Today I'm going through the most basic merching strategy, event merching, and show my experience getting 8 bill Mesos today off not doing too much. This is the most basic way of merching Mesos in this game and doesn't require too much effort or thinking. Pretty much anyone can use this strategy regardless of which point in the game they're at. It's also really easy because the market automatically lets you buy low and sell high if you're just aware of this strategy. Essentially, this game has a lot of events, and they all impact the market conditions. So some events, for example, are Cube of Equality, Shining Star Force, and Spelltrace Fever. In each of these events, we see a shift in the market conditions because it impacts the demand for certain items. So for example, during Shining Star Force, the price of clean endgame equips like Pitch Boss generally are higher. For Cube of Equality, general legendary potential equips are more expensive, and during Spelltrace Fever, the prices of Spelltraces increases. It's important to understand why this occurs, to ride the ebbs and flows and know the events that are going on to prepare for those. You can achieve this by buying the items out before they increase in price, so that you can sell it all during the more expensive periods. Anyways, without any further ado, let's begin the video. You know what they say about making money, the most simple way is often the most efficient. So these spell traces I picked up at like 7,000 Mesos, like a few weeks ago, and then I've stashed up like a lot of characters, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that was about 200 stacks worth of spell traces I bought at 7,000 Mesos. I invested like 12.6 bill into those, and at today's price, I'm getting about 20 bill worth. So I'm profiting about like 7 bill, maybe just under 6.5 bill after tax. But yeah, especially because I have MVP silver at the moment, and as you can see, the prices are constantly fluctuating because you know, it's just supply demand. It's whenever people list it up and people just mass buy it. So something like spell traces is extremely good to merch off. So right now I can just list it up for let's see, like for example 13.8 bill, and that increases my profit margin to about 65%. So it's pretty crazy like how the most basic way of making Mesos, how much you can actually generate in profit. The obvious downside to this strategy is that you have to like keep listing this, which takes a bit of time, but I'm making like a bucket load worth of money through merching like this. So this kind of just illustrates how good events are, and you can make so much money out of just, you know, playing with the ebbs and flows of the events for like supply and demand. So yeah, the rest of the day I'm probably just gonna have to keep listing these up. Cool, listed it all up. I definitely recommend other people to also follow this kind of like strategy for merching, because honestly this is free money at this point. Alright, our first batch done. That's nice. Cool. Just have to keep doing this. As I mentioned before, I have about 200 stacks, and because I'm MVP silver, I'm actually able to list about, because I'm using 6 of that right now for my other stuff, but I'm able to list up about 25 at a time. So I only need to do this 8 times. And then I'll be able to sell everything. Actually, in that case, I might just take these down just for today, and then so I could just focus on getting rid of all my spell traces, because it does take up a bit of space. All right, sold another stack of 30 of these. As you guys might have noticed, I actually have a bit less return on this stash compared to before. So the previous stack I sold for about 13k. Per stack, whereas this one was more so like, I think it was like 11.5, 12k, somewhere around there. I guess if you're wondering about like how you should price these, it kind of depends on how many spell traces you have. So for me, like for example, I still have about like 150 to go. So what I'm really doing, oh, those are really cheap. Those actually sell out. Like, you know, the ones that just appeared just then, those just sell out instantly because people are just trying to snipe those kind of spell traces. You can literally snipe those and then just flip it straight away for like that 40% return on the day of spell trace, 50% off as well. So, oh, these are actually not, oh, yeah, see, look, there's actually no point like trying to go for these, because whenever these are just listed, people are just buying it. So like, let's just try. Yeah, okay. So I bought it. That's good because I can just flip it straight away and I'll just be making like that 30% margin on like this. But anyways, the way I generally tend to price is I have a baseline. I have a minimum amount that I want to sell it for. And generally with that, I just kind of look at the last sold and just kind of gauge out a price. So as you can tell, most of these are selling, like they're definitely selling out like instantly under 11k is what I'm seeing. And then above 11k is when it's getting a bit slower. but it goes up to 15k. So if I only had like 30 spell traces and I have 30 of these listing spaces, I'd probably just put it up for 15k each and then just let it sell overnight. Because it's obvious that it does reach up to 15k and there are people buying it for 15k. So it's pretty likely that someone will buy it for 15k over the rest of the day. But for my case, since I have so many, I kind of have to understand the market and the trajectory it's going. So right now, there's a couple for 12.3k and then there's these for 11k, and these 11k ones are just going to sell it instantly. Oh, okay, they're still here. Oh wait, why did I even buy it? Okay, I wasn't actually meant to buy that. Sorry, I thought they were 9k each or something. But yeah, these are gone, yeah. So I kind of gauge out how many I have and think about how many times do I have to go into the auction house to sell this over the rest of my day. Because honestly, whether I sell this for 11k or 12k is probably like a 5% return like margin. Whereas I'm able to sell a lot more at 11k compared to 12k. So I guess it comes down to whether you want to sell these for a little higher or a little faster. And that really depends on just how many you have in the first place. But in my case, I'm probably just going to list it for like, you know, like 12k, because I'm imagining these 11k ones will sell out pretty quickly. I'll be the next one in line. And for most people, they just do this buy all thing where you're able to just buy like as many of these spell trays as you want for a certain price, like below this price. So that's how these are actually selling out really quickly, which is why it's a great opportunity still in 2025 to just flip spell traces. Like I'm literally making a 40% margin on each of the spell traces I like bought and then I sell now. I could literally all in like this every single event, and I can guarantee you I'll be making 40% margin every single 50% spell trace Sundays. And of course I am having a lot easier over time because I am MVP silver. And if you don't have an MVP, it might be a little more tedious because you can only list up 10 of these at a time. Whereas I'm listing up 30 of these at a time. But yeah, back in the days, I used to just kind of do this on like 3 accounts simultaneously because I have 2 spare laptops at home. Personally, I just want to minimize the amount of times I have to list these up because, you know, I want to do my dailies or like do bossing, and it's just a bit of a distraction if I sell stuff in the middle and I have to think about like selling the next batch and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really up to you, but I honestly think this is still a very, very, very underrated strategy of making money. And it's literally the most basic way you can make money as well, which also teaches you the fundamentals of merching. Beautiful. Just came home from badminton and looks like I've sold all my spell traces. Yep. So just cashing in. Making Mesos is this easy, guys. Alright, it's currently 2 a.m. And I just sold some more spell traces. Yep. Okay, so this is my last batch of spell traces. I actually put 30 more onto my reboot account as well. So just so that it helps with selling this, because yeah, I'm about to go to sleep and by the time I wake up, the event's going to be over. So this will be my last batch to sell. And I think I'll try and capitalize on this as well one more time before shining. If we do get the dates for the spell trace 50% off, and it is before Shining Star Force. It's the next morning, so it's just past reset now. So I'm sitting at about 115 bill. As you guys can see, I've made a lot of sales over the past day. Just for the last few I just sold it for 11k instead of 12k. I think my first batch that I sold here was 13k, but it is what it is. And it's good because I've been talking about trying to convert all my items to Mesos, because I just want to have as much Mesos as I can right now. Just to prepare for Shining Star Force. And likely after Meso increases in value compared to NX during Shining, I'll probably just start buying some more hybrids and other farming equip so that I could start pushing to 290 properly. Oh wait, I sold a few more spell traces at 11k. I don't know why people are buying these right after the events just ended, but it looks like spell traces are holding strong at 11k. So my guess is that the people who wanted to sell the spell traces sold it all already. And the people who already have spell traces, they didn't really care in the first place, so they never really listed it up. So that's why we have this situation where it's still kind of expensive, like even like the day after the events ended. But I reckon in about a week's time, this should probably settle down to probably like 8k, 7k again. And then yeah, I'll just be buying out the spell traces like before and then just repeating the cycle. Alright, I also sold some spell traces, leftover spell traces on my reboot account. Not that I was going to send it to my bearer account, but it's just because I want to stock up on Maple points on this account as well. So settling those spell traces is going to give me about like 3 bill worth of maple points. Because I wanted to buy a hyperpass. This is extremely worth it, in my opinion. I have to run the calculation again, but I think it was from memory like 15% EXP for me at level 289. And that's going to be like 30 hours of grinding that is going to save me. But yeah, I was thinking about making a video just to like break down the exact rewards that we get using the hyperpass. Let me know if you do want to see that. And as always, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.